horror to me is like it's more simple than people make it out to be. Because the first thing I do is people ask me why I'm so like sort of laid back before, because I find this works. Don't bring horror into a comic book type of pitch. Bring it into a reel. And what I mean is, it's like you're walking down that road late at night in the forest. On either side of you, it's nothing but forest and dark. Above you, you can barely see stars because it is dark out. Could even be cloudy. You can't see the sky clearly at all. It is now at sort of like a pitch black stage, and you let them keep walking. You say, okay, and you're still walking down this path. Like, you don't add more than that. And that right away is just give them a moment to think about it. They're not going to be scared of that. It's in the dark. They're going to think game stuff too. They're going to think like, what can I see? What can't I see? And I'm going to let them think that for a moment, and I'm going to say, like, it's a you hear what could be a screech of a bird or the screech of someone in panic. You hear an unclear screeching sound. Could be from a distance. You can't see nothing. Okay. Never feed more poetic lines into something. Make most things relatable to the person listening. That's seed planting. They're just going to think about that stuff no matter what. Like, it's basic stuff, right? But they're going to start playing it out. It's when you start getting closer to something happening is when that buildup becomes something worthwhile. Now, the advantage is if you're also a DM who already has a history with players and they know you don't hold back, they know any potential danger is real danger to them. Like, they know it. They will not think your game is safe, right? So mentally they'll know, okay, this is dangerous. It's a very dangerous situation that I'm in right now. Because they know they have a DM or a game master who will just let the game play out the most brutal side of what the game is. So that helps. If you don't have that, well then slow build up, but never oversell obvious, right? Never oversell things that seems, just because in real life, every description I'm giving you are things that would make people creep out. Did I hear someone yelling for help? Or like, how many times have you heard a screech off in the distance and because you weren't listening, you don't know. And that stuff can be creepy. You could be listening again, like, is there something? Right? And so it's more simplistic and not poetic. And as, say, the screeching, if you want to start detailing it out more as it gets closer, or now as they've stopped to listen, they're hearing branches break, like little cracks, like somebody is walking on around them on little, like, breaking little branches and sticks in the ground. It's all it is, Zeg. I just know is you're Zeg. Here's what I know what players are doing, and here's why I think all that poetic stuff gets in the way. Players are playing a game. It is not your time for a speech and to show off. It is your time to provide information to a player whose mind is not going to use it. Some game masters think if they're not poetic, you'll think they sucked at the end of it. I'm like, all right, dude, give players the right information and then ask them at the end if they had a bad time. Here's what I guarantee you'll find out. All players will be happy that you just gave them direct information. No, it was great, dude. You'll hear people say that because what they're doing is they're imagining. They'll paint the scene. If you want to add some colors in, you can. You want to add some details in, remote details, like not over flowery, not over pushing something, but to sort of set up the scene. That's okay. But if you spend too much time, you just get away from what the player's doing, which is the player's trying to play the game. That information is about imagination, movement, and playing, and decision-making. There's a combination of things happening all at once in the midst of taking the information in. So if I oversell, I get you away from thinking about what you want to think about. I want you in the flow of gameplay like that. Where you go, what's in front of you, what's going on in your mind playing, right? Yeah, exactly. You got to find that balance. And a lot of guys out there, sometimes they don't. Some guys will barely say anything poetic and not give you enough information. Some guys will be too poetic, which is what we're talking about, and say, they exist, so do I. That's why we talk about this type of thing. It's not like it's not a thing. Actually, quite common that game masters are in the midst of doing speeches and showing off quite often when so just unnecessary for the whole session. Period. I mean, there's some parts where there is a build up to a scene. So even that is I would say, is like balancing out. Most scenes don't need the poetic stuff, straight information they're playing. Some scenes that you build up to through the gradual process of play and hints and information, when that stuff is coming together, any player is going to be okay. They just don't want that frequently. Just think about a player playing a video game where they're always stopping every fucking 5 minutes for, they're talking again. Can I just play the game? But you sort of got to think your players are playing like that to a degree as well. Meaning, if you don't put too many of those stoppages in, they just keep playing. And when you're passing out information, the reason you don't want to get poetic either is you want it to be part of the process of moving forward. You give information so they can keep thinking and they can keep playing. Right? Poetic speeches will stop people from directly thinking of moving forward. So if you're going to do it, make sure they understand that this is a moment where the game master definitely wants you to focus on the here and now. So it's good that your mind is going forward during the game, but then there's moments where this is the big dude, this is the important scene, this is the thing, right? So I always tell the game master, when you get to the point where players should be focused on a scene, the way you get them used to that process is that's the only time you go in with a little bit more sell on your description or pitch. Right? Okay, sell the room a bit more, sell elements a bit more. But it's understandable that this room is so important. You need players to not think of how do I move forward, but what is going on here. That's moments where you pick to be a bit more and you don't overkill on the rest. Just think about for the rest of the game, your straightforward information allows them to keep playing. It's all about that. And move forward. Oh, boss room, I need you to focus here. Oh, puzzler room, holy shit, there's stuff going on here. You need to pay attention to, my friend. Right? That's when I'll put a little bit more oomph to explanations or adding some juice to the scene. Right? So I'm not saying it's all bad. But even then, I would suggest, even in those scenes, not to be over poetic. You definitely want to help get an atmosphere, get a feel and all this, but you still want to remember the more you speak, the more you make it harder for your players to think with their imagination. So when you add still limitations there, because you want players to be able to take your information in a very basic way. So basic information has to be sort of put forward in a basic way on purpose, because you want them to remember that stuff and easily understand it. Clarity is important into the imagination. Clarity of structure means as long as they all understand structure, I don't care if one thinks the house is green, the other thinks it's blue. So structure and basic information is just necessary for, here's the structure you'll all work with, here's the basic stuff you'll all work with. All right, okay, all right, that's done. Then you add whatever details in, and you can flower that up a bit if it's an important scene where you're saying, okay, normally I'm just telling you this basic stuff here, but I'm not doing that here. And that's to communicate to players, pay more attention now. Right? For the rest of it, you can just think about moving forward, and I hope you choose in some cases to stop and think while you're playing. But I'll keep just feeding you that forward motion type of energy. At that point, it's almost on purpose to see if you just trick players into making mistakes. And not trick players. How could I say? You're not trying to. But you see if in that process, because it's meant to challenge them, if they trip themselves up, I'll put it that's a better way to put it. If they trip themselves up in the process of moving forward and past things. Good to move forward, sometimes you gotta slow down. But I don't assist there. In major situations where I sort of still see it as team player, as a game master, I think it's okay to, through player experience, for players to pick up when you're adding more fluff to something. That means there's more attention to be paid here on the importance scale. Meaning there could be more in the room, but if the room is not as important as the end big scene, I'll give you basic information. I hope you stop and think while you're doing stuff. If you don't, well, you might miss shit. So it's on you.